contest is scheduled for one fall. Making their way to the ring.
Live from the AfterBuzz TV studios, it's Making Their Way to the Ring with Lilian Garcia.
Well, hello. Here we are, 2017, first show of the year. Welcome, everybody. I am Lilian Garcia with Making Their Way to the Ring. You can see my social medias, all the info down here at Lilian Garcia for Twitter, and for Instagram and Facebook is Lilian Garcia official fan page. It is a different type of show today. And with me this evening, I'm actually really excited because you guys are going to get to know them a little bit more and personal, and that's part of this whole why we're going to do the show a little bit different today. And so let me introduce you to, first of all, managing editor and chief correspondent of AfterBuzz TV's Pro Wrestling News, Christy Olson.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on today,
Of course.
Lillian. I appreciate it.
It's great to have you in the same room.
Thank you. Yes, I know, right? Here I am. This is what I look like in real person.
Yeah, right. And with me, you guys probably recognize him for sure, former TMZ senior producer and now editor-in-chief of ProWrestlingSheet.com, Ryan Satin.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Glad to be back. It was nice last time, and now it's the new year.
It is the new year.
Got a nicer shirt on this time. We're good to go.
You always look good. Don't worry.
No, you're good. Yeah, absolutely. Guys, I am so happy that we're going to be starting this show a little different. We're going to be doing a different type of show today, and the reason why is, as you guys know, first of all, before we get to talk about that, though, I want to know from you guys, how was your holidays? How were your holidays? Let's speak the right language here. How were your holidays?
Mine were great. I can't complain about mine at all. They were fun. I did stuff with the family. My family lives in Orange County, so I went back and did stuff with them, and it was interesting this year having Hanukkah and Christmas at the same time because my mom celebrates Christmas, my dad celebrates Hanukkah, so it was interesting to have to go back and forth on the same
day?
week. Well, it's the same weekend basically.
Oh, okay,
so
good.
It's not normal. It's normally they're a little bit apart, so it was interesting to get to see all my family all at once. It was nice.
Awesome. And you?
Yeah, that's fun. I didn't go home to Minnesota this year, but I was able to FaceTime with my parents on Christmas, and my mom sent a whole box of really nicely wrapped presents, most of which my Chihuahua actually unwrapped himself. But so we just had a very chill, kind of a low-key holiday, and it was very nice. Got some much-needed downtime.
Like you opened presents while on Skype?
Yes.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
It felt like we were there with them, so that's what you got to do when you're 1,500 miles away.
There you go. I love it. Was your husband here?
He was here with me. Yes.
Oh, good. So you didn't spend it by yourself.
No. Me and John and Barney.
I like it. I like it. Well, okay. So as you guys know, my Christmas was very different than any other Christmas I've had. It is no secret that my dad has been very sick, and stepping away from WWE, taking care of him, having him move, to California with my mom. He was getting treated at City of Hope, and it was July. Let's see. He started treatment there in March, and it was he was doing a whole new treatment called it's an immune therapy. The name of it, I'm telling you, it's like
I actually remember when you told me when it was like approved and stuff,
right.
and I remember looking the name up and being like, I can't pronounce that name.
I remember something about a bum. Every time somebody is like, so what's this new FDA approved, all this, and I was just like, yeah, an immune therapy.
Easy enough.
Right. So
all you need to know.
And what was really cool was, he was in studies for many, many years, and he was going to join the study. And I remember we got there at City of Hope, and he signed the papers to be able to join the study, and we were going to have to wait a few weeks before he actually got it administered because it wasn't FDA approved yet. Oh. But what was really something else was the fact that day we're in the office of Dr. Powell at City of Hope, and all of a sudden he stepped out of the room. He comes back and goes, "Guys, you won't believe this. I just got an email that it's been FDA approved." I mean, something that takes years, and then all of a sudden, when my dad is in the office, it gets FDA approved. We were all like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, it was just really special, right?
That was like a full miracle, to be honest. Like,
for sure.
I remember when you told me that, and I was like, "What are the odds of that happening?"
No.
That's like. That was such a lucky thing that he was able to have happen. That's awesome.
Like the definition of a blessing.
For sure. And the reason why is because now he didn't have to wait weeks to start. He immediately started.
And it did help a lot, right?
Well, here's the thing. We don't know exactly what helped, what didn't help, I know that in July when they did the testing, it only works. The only thing about this, and I think it's the best way to describe it because the nurse said it to me like this. When they give chemotherapy, the thing about chemotherapy, it's like it goes all over your body, and unfortunately, it kills the bad, but it also kills the good, which is why so many people get sick, right? Immune therapy actually boosts your own immune system, and so you're all of a sudden, you're not killing the bad, the good is attacking the bad. The downside is they haven't perfected it to the point where it works on the majority of people like chemotherapy. But he tried 2 rounds of chemo and couldn't take it.
It seems really, and he's older too.
Yeah,
so
87. It was really, well, he was 87 in September, so he was 86 at this time. So yeah, he couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
So this was his only option.
It's
so
like why live your last time
No,
like
he was
that?
already
sick.
right. So yeah, so then this works on 25% of people. So the ratio is lower than chemo, but there's still, and hey, it's now just been FDA approved. I'm sure it's going to go up from here, right? But by July, we found out it was too late. By the time he had gotten the immune therapy, the bladder cancer had spread to his lungs. So that was the thing. He was not fighting. I mean, he was fighting the battle of and he had multiple myeloma, which is a blood cancer. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean,
that's a lot of things.
Right? The doctor literally, we never said this, but this is, the reason it was like, okay, time to step away, take care of him, yada. They told us he had 2 weeks to maybe 3 months to live. They told that to my sister and I. We never shared that with my mom. We never shared that with my dad. It was really hard. Thank God for my sister. I think it's very important. I mean, one of the gifts, there's many big gifts, which is what I focus on all of these things. But the bond that my sister and I have been able to form because of all the time that we spent, because of going through something like this, it's what they say. It could either separate you where you're just like fighting to no end or whatever, or you can just come together. And thank God that we came together. And I encourage that in other families.
Yeah, we could see when she came into the studio with you, the two of you leaning on each other and really being there. And I think maybe just having someone who understands the exact circumstances.
Right? And then she said that to me. She goes, no, my friends they will sympathize, all of that, and they'll reach out, but they don't get it like you get it. I mean, we're feeling the same exact thing. We're like this with my dad. So.
I can see the other side of that, though. I mean, my family and I were very close, but... I can see why some people sometimes distance themselves for those same, for similar reasons, but just reacting in different ways. Because, as close as I am with my sisters, it is hard for me to stay as close as I was with them sometimes, just because it does remind me of, my brother passing away, or just reminds me of times that I wish I could go back to and stuff. And I know it's not the right thing and stuff like that, but it is a hard thing, when you're dealing with loss and having things like that remind you so much of such sadness that you dealt with, and even though there's certain people who were there for you and feel the same sadness, sometimes it is hard to like talk about it with them.
Well, almost makes it more painful when you all are sharing your pain together.
I guess because it was actually for us, it was so different with my mom and my sister and I. It actually, and my husband too, and her husband, it has helped us to talk about it and to unite and to be like, okay, next chapter and let's honor him and all of that. And so I do want to touch, because I want to talk about what happened with your brother. So,
well, my brother passed away a few years ago. He, it was a freak kind of thing that happened. He was walked out. He was on a second story of his house he was living in, and he went onto the balcony to grab something, and I think it was wet, and he slipped off the balcony and fell down. There was a car parked beneath the balcony, so it was like a small ledge that he was on, and he hit his head on the car.
Oh my gosh!
And so he was in a coma for a little bit, and then he passed away. And it's a dealing with my brother and I were best friends, and this was we were hanging out the night before. He was at my apartment playing video games, just like hanging out.
How close were you guys?
Very close. I mean, we're 4 years apart. 4 years apart.
Okay, that's the same with my sister and I.
Yeah, we're 4 years apart, and I mean,
older or younger brother?
Older brother, and he, also, my parents were divorced, so he was my only like he's my brother of like my parents, my other sisters I can still consider them my sisters, obviously, but he and I grew up together because we were so close in age, and dealing with divorce and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we were, and when we got older, we got much closer. He moved out to LA, and he was working in the entertainment industry when I was working at TMZ, and so we were hanging out, I'd say, every day when he passed away. And so it's not an easy thing to deal with. I mean, you were living with your dad, so you know what it's like when you're with someone every day and they pass away. It's a hard thing to deal with.
Well, that's the thing that I would say it is, but I look back, like I said, with the gifts, I look back and I am so grateful that I had that time with him, because I remember that. And yes, it is painful, but you got to remember everything, it's your perspective, it's your attitude. How are you going to look at it? So you can decide whether it's going to be painful or, remind you that, or you can decide like, oh man, that moment, I'm so, thankful that I had that moment, and you carry that in your heart, and that's where I'm focusing. I just kind of tend to be that kind of person.
No, and I normally do too, and it's more just because I.
But yours was a surprise. Like,
it was a surprise
mine
thing.
was coming.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for it.
Yours was a surprise.
Definitely.
That's a little harder, for sure.
Yeah.
And how old was he?
He was a little over 30, like 31, I think.
That is crazy to me, though, that the balcony, like, I didn't know this.
Yeah, and it's crazy, too. I mean, it was the balcony was a little bit bigger than this, but honestly, like, maybe not you guys, you're probably not trying to climb, like, roofs or anything like that, but me personally, honestly, like, the way it looked to me was that from assessing the situation afterward, it looked like he was in the bathroom and he knocked toilet paper onto the balcony and was like, this is my last, I need to go get the toilet paper that I just had fall out there. So he went to climb out the window, and honestly, I would have probably done the exact same thing. So it was like a total freak.
Right.
And if there was no car beneath the window, that probably would have made a difference too, But yeah, it's
Is that all things that you spent a lot of time rehashing and thinking, what if, or did you just sort of?
I did for a long time, because it did frustrate me. It was like, well, what if? Yeah, yes, definitely, absolutely. But at a certain point, you can't really do that. At a certain point, it's life. Like, I know that as sad as what happened with my brother, there are people dealing with much sadder things. Like cancer, where people are in pain for so long. Like, I'm happy. Wow. I'm happy that my brother at least wasn't in pain for a long time. Right. That he never woke up after falling and hit his head. So
see, right there, your perspective and your attitude is holding on to something good, and that's what I mean, and that's where I was going to go to. Is like, we found out this, and then all of a sudden he's put on in hospice in July.
How long after that?
So he got here in March.
Okay.
And in July is when they put him in hospice.
And when did they say that he had 2 weeks to?
July.
That was, okay. So we're right after that. Okay.
So now my sister and I are living with this, and we're like, what? 2 weeks? Now, my dad started in the Marines. He was about, oh my gosh, you see that photo there? It's crazy.
How old was he right there?
So
he
handsome.
was like 17. Not supposed to not supposed to be allowed.
I'm pretty sure everyone back then did that, so it's okay.
But he was there for like 4 years. He did the first 4 years in the Marines, and then he got out, and then he joined the Army after that. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't right away that he joined the Army. I don't know exactly how many years between the two, but those are the kind of questions that I go, wow, I always kind of like just took for granted these things, where now I'm like, so yeah, details. Mm-hmm. You know how I think about how I interview people here, and we interview people, like you're interviewing people, and they're, and it's like, wait, details matter. Mm-hmm.
Like you're just going, oh, I've heard that story a million times. Oh, but wait a minute,
I didn't know.
Was he?
Right? And how many years was it in the gap?
Did he ever told you why he left one for the other, or why he's Why he liked the Army? No, never.
No, so I'm just
interested, because that's an interesting thing. You usually hear about people sticking with one for a long time.
Exactly. I don't know. I know that he did his training in the Marines at Parris Island. I mean, I'm sure that right there, he just said how brutal that was, right? But then in the Army, I think it was Beaufort, South Carolina, that they do for the Army or something like.
Okay.
Now I'm sketching the two, but anyway. But he spent in the Army. He spent over 20 years. So he left as a lieutenant colonel.
That's crazy.
My dad, because of that, is fighter, right? But he said something to us in the end, with my sister and I, and this is where I was going to say, have conversations with your family members that are going through this too, and listen to them and what they're saying. And don't try to be like, no, don't say that. Don't let them share whatever it is, right? He was in Vietnam. Mm-hmm. And he was the last one in his whole platoon to go. So he was, this guy's a fighter. But he said that his biggest fear was being taken prisoner.
Yeah.
And that, right?
Understandable.
He said...
Well, that and getting shot, but prisoner's even worse.
But exactly.
Yeah.
He said his biggest fear was being taken prisoner. He said, now I feel like I'm a prisoner to my body. And that hit my sister and I, where we were like, okay, we need to prepare ourselves because it's coming, and he doesn't want to do this, But my dad fought so much that his body literally just little by little kept, deteriorating and all. Watching that for us was so hard. And so what happened in the holiday season... here it is. He actually said goodbye to us on December 20th. We'll never forget that night. We were all gathered around. Well, we spent so much time in the room. I just always did, But we were all gathered around, and he said goodbye to each one of us, which was so traumatic. At the same time, I look back and it was so beautiful. But then we had a priest come in on Wednesday morning. Because my dad was Catholic and it was very important to him, and so we had a priest come in, and then the deterioration. Oh God, this is the 22nd of December. My parents actually celebrated 62 years of marriage. 62 years. I have a photo of them here together when they were first. Look at that.
I know. I just met your mom
together,
out there.
right?
Oh, yeah, that's so awesome.
She doesn't look too different from that today.
Isn't that crazy? It really is crazy.
62 years.
62 years. Whew. Now, my mom, we went in and we were like, Dad, it's your anniversary. And Mom would go in there and we're like, do you know it's your anniversary? And all he would do is just nod. And Mom came in and, held his hand and all. And then by the time Christmas Day came, wow. I mean, literally, I feel like life for him from the day he was born till the 20th was his life, right? And to prepare whatever. From the 20th of December to the 25th of December was to prepare us to say, okay, yes, God, please take him. Because watching that decline, watching the body and now I have to talk about it because if not, I've done so much crying too that I feel like I don't even have a tear left. But on Christmas Day, we're all gathered around him, and you could just tell he was just ready to go, right? And you just see him, and you're like, and even my mom was like, oh, I am praying, please, God,
well, like you said, the prisoner in your own body thing. I mean,
exactly.
That made me want to cry, honestly, because I couldn't imagine that. I always think about that, about how I wouldn't want to be that way. I wouldn't want to feel like I wasn't making my own decisions. I wouldn't, living my own life.
Right.
That's my biggest fear. I know my grandpa. He's in his mid 90s, late 90s. And, when my brother passed away, one of the things I did make sure I do, I call him every week, and we talk on the phone every week because I feel the same. I try to go out and meet with him for lunch when I can and stuff because, I feel the same way. Those stories, I'm not going to get those stories at a certain point, and I'm going to wish that I could have those stories. Them, by the way. I should. But I'm going to wish that, I could pass those on to my kids or things like that. And, the longer time passes since my brother passed away, the more those memories start to fade, and all those times, all those things do help. The stories, the thing.
Well, that's the thing I took for granted. Really, when he was sharing that with me, when he was well, and he was sharing that with me, I'm like, okay, well, didn't think about recording it. Didn't think about asking detailed questions, right? So by the time, it was Maria Menounos actually who told me about, hey, record these conversations, because I know she's going through this with her mom. And so she's been recording, but by the time she told me that, it was a little too late where he couldn't really communicate, and so I didn't want to press it.
But no, that is really good advice.
It is.
My sister, my grandpa lives with my mom and my sister, and I wish that she should actually do that, because I look back and like I said, we were talking before, and I do wish that I had more pictures of my brother and I. The ones I have, I treasure. And I do everything I can to find rare ones I haven't seen before, because I've looked them all so many times, because it's all you have at this point, and so I wish that while I had time with my brother that we had taken more selfies together, or as lame as it sounds, like I wish that there was more of those. There's only a few of them and it's mainly me taking them, like, hey, get in this picture with me, Drew, and he was definitely much more of a cool guy, where that wasn't his thing, and so it sucks that I really don't even have any videos of my brother and my brother and I together in our older age at all, really, and it sucks. It bums me out.
Well, that's exactly why I wanted to do a show like this, because first of all, I think people are scared of death. And I was one of them, kind of. The last time I experienced this kind of death was my grandmother, and she lived with us. And so for me, my other grandmother passed. I wasn't very close to her, so I didn't. It wasn't like this, right?
That's the exact same scenario with me. Yeah.
So my grandmother on my mother's side lived with us, and so she lived for the very first 14 years of my life. So she was like my second mom. Yeah. When she passed, I was 14 years old. I remember experiencing crucial, horrible pain from losing her. I feel like I was definitely more prepared now, being older, to deal with it. But the fear of death leading up to my dad passing away was so big and so magnified, and I just didn't know how to handle it. And I also suggest therapy. We were, as a family, going to therapy, and even with him, we went to therapy of how to deal with this, right? Because that's one of the things I feel like in school. There are some basic things in school that they should go through, and death should be one of them.
That's a great point.
I probably should have gone to therapy this whole time.
Exactly, and I still feel like it's not too late.
No, I know. I'm a weirdo. I sometimes just like to work things out in my own head, but I know. It doesn't work that way, and it does help talk about things. It's just and honestly, since my brother passed away, I do fear death. There are so many things all the time. I'll say to my girlfriend, I would never do that, because I wouldn't want to die. And it's mainly from the fact that I've seen what death does to a family. I've seen the way it affected my mom, and I've seen the way it affected my dad, and the way it's affected our family since. And I feel like if I died in some dumb plane accident because I wanted to have a little bit of a thrill and go skydiving, and then I died from it, well, that was stupid. I didn't have to do that, and so that's always in the back of my mind.
But go ahead.
Well, I think maybe as we get older and we get to know more family members and more people that we do lose, I look at it as, I kind of think well, whatever happens, there's some people I know there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so true. Well, that's a good thing, and that's exactly, some people actually talk to me oh my gosh, you lost him on Christmas Day, right? And
when you texted me that, I was it broke my heart, because and that's not what you want to deal with on Christmas Day.
We had a outpour. Oh, thank you to the fans, to friends, to family members, to all of this, the outpour of support and people thinking about us and all. But I thought about it too, and I wrote it up on what is it, Twitter and Instagram and everything. At first when I was Christmas Day, but yes, I go back to, I remember about an hour or two before he passed, I literally looked at the cross that was hanging, that I had on the wall in his bed, and I said to God, please take him. I know it's Christmas Day, but it's okay. the biggest gift you can give us right now is not watching this, right, and not seeing him go through so much pain. But I also, Dad he believed in God, Christ, all of that, and all of a sudden I'm going, wait, it's Christ's birthday, and he loves to sing and dance, and the party he must have walked into into heaven. I was like, wait, okay, I think this is a special thing. And George Michael's there too, right? Singing for him to, So all of a sudden I felt way better, and like the lift of the heaviness of death kind of lifted itself. And isn't it crazy that then Carrie Fisher passes away, Debbie Reynolds passes away, and then hospice, which, by the way, thank you to our hospice, which was incredible.
I can't imagine that being your day-to-day job.
Oh, it was, no. Caretakers that we had, the people that give their life to do this, to take care of loved ones, to take care of people who are sick. Wow. And even the doctors. I mean, people, sometimes they look at doctors and you went, what do you mean you can't do anything more? What do you mean? And they get mad, right, at the doctors. And it's like, doctors are human too. Like, we're not like these magical things that can just make everything not die.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, when I was in the hospital, I remember having the exact same thought when I was there with my brother. Like, I couldn't imagine this being your job, where you have to see this kind of pain from people all day long, and they clearly have a routine. Like, I knew they were going to tell me my brother passed away, because I remember they kind of like ushered us into another room, and it was like, oh, okay, this is when they're going to tell us.
Yeah.
And I do remember one funny thing though, before they told us, and looking back on, like, obviously at the time,
Yeah.
it was, I was not thinking, but it was one funny. Before they told us, they asked us all for our parking tickets to validate our parking.
What?
That's so LA. Like,
That was LA.
where
Is that the
else
most
in
LA
the world?
thing? Like, it was like, hey, can you hand us like your valid? Like, you guys need to get validated. Like, while we're waiting for the doctor to come in, like, yeah, we do need to get validated. Like, everyone's kind of handing it over, and then it was like,
God.
doctor came in, told us, let everyone know, and then it was like, okay, here's your guys' tickets.
Whoa, that is freaky.
It was literally like the most LA thing ever.
My God.
I remember going like, wow, they planned that before. Like, they were like, we have to get their validation.
I guess, you know what, though? You got to actually think about it on their end. They must have gone through this before.
And you're
where all of a sudden you're trying to get your ticket validated, but yet you're falling apart
crying.
and a mess, and they're like,
Yeah. No, I didn't take it in a bad way. It was just
Right.
always so funny to me out of the fact that, like, they have to, like, know to do that,
Right. Well, it's almost like the same thing with the hospice and caretakers. They kind of knew exactly, they deal with this every day, right? So they were telling us that the holidays are the highest mortality rate. I didn't know that.
That's crazy.
That more people die in the holidays, and they say sometimes it's because loved ones hang on so that they can see all the family, and then they go, and then sometimes it's just because.
Is that specifically in hospice care they do that? Or in general?
No,
or
in
people
general.
die?
But they were telling us.
Crazy.
Sense.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Isn't that sort of what you saw with your father as well?
So I think Dad was really trying to hang on to Christmas. Really trying to hang. He did not want to ruin our Christmas. But man, it got to the point where it was like, and here's the other thing. Okay, so I feel like, and this is, again, reason we're doing a different kind of show today. For all of you who are listening to us on iTunes and watching us on YouTube at AfterBuzz TV, we wanted to do a different show to kind of start the year off. We're going to have amazing guests this year. It's going to be awesome, and we'll let you know who's coming next week. But I think it was very important to touch on a subject that happened that was very dear to me and close to me. I knew that you had a family member had passed away, and I wanted to get Christy's perspective of not having necessarily a member close to her passing away. But again, it's important to talk about real life things, right? We say here it's real, raw, and inspiring. And so one of the things I wanted to share along the way, some of the stuff that I learned dealing with someone who's got cancer, someone who is his life is coming to an end. And now I'm trying to think of what my point was for hospice. You were asking me something about hospice.
Well, about how your dad deliberately was hanging on.
Oh yeah, so he was hanging on. But then, what was I going to say?
How helpful they were.
Yeah. He was hanging on for Christmas Day. Oh yeah, and then we were literally got to the point where we were like, okay, time to go. I know what it was. So they say you've got to listen to the person as to who they are. So there was a little bit of when we say family members, I felt about one thing with one way, my sister felt about it another way, and it wasn't right or wrong. It was, our opinions or whatever. I felt like my dad loved to hang on to hope, and you can't take away his hope, and all. And then my sister was like, yeah, but then you're like really prolonging things, the inevitable, and you're making him go through more pain by hanging on. Mm-hmm. So we asked the spiritual counselor, which is part of hospice. They give you a spiritual counselor, a nurse, all of this. We asked the spiritual counselor, what is right as far as, in your opinion? You do this all the time, right?
Are you referring to telling him the news about the time?
No.
Whether you should let him pass.
Whether you should. Oh, yes, because he kept saying, I'm going to beat this, right? But you're now at the end, like it's like his body is like, really deteriorating.
Hooked up to machines, all that kind of stuff.
He wasn't hooked up. No, he definitely.
Never at all?
Never.
That's great.
Because that was a thing he did not want.
Good.
He never wanted a machine. Oxygen. That's the only thing he had. But it was the Earl was our spiritual counselor, and he said, look, if your dad is a fighting kind of guy, he's a lieutenant colonel, this is who he is. Don't take away the person he is to the core, because then it will confuse him, because all of a sudden his whole identity is gone, right? So if your dad is a fighter, let him keep fighting. So we said, but let him know that you guys are going to be okay if he does pass, and that it's okay. Say, Dad, if you want to let go, it's okay to let go. Don't tell him to let go, but say, if you want to let go, it's okay. We're going to be fine. Mom's going to be fine. She's going to be taken care of. And that's exactly what we did. And it felt good to come from that point, because we were definitely saying, look, he's, a fighter. And so...
but that's a tough call to make. It
is.
Like I was saying, my brother being in a coma, we had to make this, we thought we were going to have to make a decision as to whether, to pull the plug or let him keep trying to fight. Machines? He was on machines. Oh yeah. He was like,
yeah. But that's different too.
No, totally different situation. Totally different scenario.
Yeah,
totally different scenario. Yeah. But, there are people in that scenario who there are people where a parent who doesn't want to let go of their child, who could keep them on the machine for possibly a long time, put them in a home type situation, and let them be in a vegetative state for a long time because they don't want to let go. But and that's also like one of those situations where it's a hard thing. Luckily with my brother, he and this is a thing I didn't know until we got into this situation, but if you mark that you're an organ donor, mm-hmm. When you for your license or whatever, it takes that decision away from your family, and they have to kind of like let you pass. Like they basically have to take you off machines at that point, because your organs only have so much time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Once you pass.
I'm an organ donor.
Yeah, so basically your organs, I didn't know this either. Like this was something I learned that day, that certain organs only have certain time to once someone passes to be able to pass to someone else. Wow. And so if you mark that you're an organ donor and it's for sure that you're not gonna come out of this vegetative state, then basically you already made the decision for you. Mm-hmm. Like you've made your own decision. Your family doesn't have a say in it. So my brother, luckily, I think his heart went to someone, and a bunch of different organs help different people live longer.
How does that make you feel? Because I feel like that's beautiful.
It is. Honestly, like those are the things
because
that
he will live on.
He will live on, and I've been able to talk with some of the people who they went to. Like you have to get permission. So they don't just tell you, like you have to request. I think my parents did it, and I didn't do it, but like you have to request, and they have to be cool with it, and all that kind of stuff. But one of the people wrote us a whole letter saying that they were sick, and I forget which one of his organs they got, but that they were sick and they were gonna die, and this saved their life, and now they get to live for a lot longer and be with their kids still, and get to see them grow up. And it was like, okay, well, like those are things that I can take comfort in. Like your dad, my brother, even though he lived a much shorter life than your dad, he had an action-packed life. Like he did everything he wanted. He got to make snowboarding movies and go travel to be filming things and make his own movies and do his own life and then blaze his own trail. And so he lived more in his 30 a little over 30 years than I've had in my almost 30 years now. So I those are the things I take comfort in. You have to take comfort in those kind of things. I mean, I know you had mentioned to me that your dad, was very happy with what you were doing, and that you're taking the bull by the horns and just doing your own thing.
Right.
And I, that's partly why I started my site, and why I left TMZ was like, after a certain amount of time of staying at TMZ after my brother passed away, you start to look at your life a little differently after someone passes away, and especially when you're that close with them. And it's like, well, if I die tomorrow, like, am I going to be happy with what I did? Like, am I going to be happy that I just followed someone else's trail, like if I didn't do my own thing or blaze my own trail? And so, his passing very much influenced me in how I live every day, and especially since he's not around anymore, I know that he would have loved to have been a part of this. So a lot of time I do this in my own head for him, because it's like I want, and not for him, I do it for myself too, but I want
in his honor.
In his honor,
in his honor, yeah.
And as humans, I think we want everything to mean something. We don't want a death to be in vain. So we look at, the organs went to someone, that's a great blessing. Oh, look at the changes that I've made in my life, and that's in honor of that person. And what a fantastic human nature that is, that we've been blessed with, that we've been given, is that kind of a spirit and the ability to look at it that way.
But that's a choice, and some people don't make that choice, and that's why I felt it was important that we talk about this, because I don't want it like I was, texting you guys saying, hey, let's not make this a doom and gloom show. It's not. It's not, because death. I realize
death
now
is a real thing that everyone deals with.
We're all facing it, no matter what we're going.
Someone is gonna die. That's a fact.
That is the for sure thing. Whether it was somebody we know or we're ourselves. And so it is important to love while you're here, do things passionately while you're here, right? And live your life, like really live your life. My dad has so much zest. One thing he did not get to do was he wanted to play, but see, there's a gift in everything, okay? Now we're talking about gifts, right? Uh-oh. As you can see in this photo up here. So my dad loved Spanish guitar. So when we were living in Spain, he actually wanted to learn how to play guitar. And so you can see I'm the one on the left, and my sister's on the right. And my sister and I started to sing with him. Now, this is kind of, it's him just pickering, like he really doesn't know how to play. So it's him just starting the lessons. So then the instructor grabbed the guitar when he heard my sister and I singing. He grabs the guitar and really starts playing like a full-on song. Mm-hmm. Well, my sister's we sing with him. He's like, wait a minute, you two can sing. Like,
I'm training the wrong family member.
Wait a minute. Yeah, Mr. Garcia, excuse me, but I would like to put your daughters in and have them perform and all that stuff. Next thing you know, we're performing. My dad never learned how to play guitar, because every time that the instructor came over to the house, he was teaching Dad how to really, he was playing with us, never teaching Dad how to play guitar. So then years later, though, when he's at our place now here in California, and it's kind of those things of, okay, it's good for him to keep busy while he's going through treatment and all of that. So he picks up the guitar, look at him, and there he is with
an iPad
teaching on how to learn. Oh my gosh.
Did he kind of learn?
And then the iPad took over and you and your sister started singing.
But you see the gift though. I mean, my sister and I started our career singing because my dad wanted to learn how to play guitar. Wow. But I love the fact that at 86 he was still trying. He's like, oh yes, I'm going to finally learn. I'm going to do it. And he started pickering about it. Did he ever really play? No. But it was the attempt of it, right?
No. When I hear someone who's an elderly, who's that age at all doing anything, to be honest with you, I'm impressed. Like my stepmom, her dad, I want to say he's around that same age, maybe a little bit younger. It blows my mind. He goes biking. He's like so active. Like he knows how to I'm pretty sure he's on computers and stuff. And it's crazy when I see him in action. I'm like, wow, that's the old guy that I want to be like, because he's just going around doing his thing, like totally like you can't tell that he's in his 80s. It's crazy. The fact that your dad was willing to go out and do that, like, and teach himself like that says a lot about him, because most people that age do not try to attempt new things.
This next picture that I want to show you guys was us as a family. We took my mom on her 80th birthday. We actually took her up in a hot air balloon, and so this was us right after we got back, and we were all safe and sound.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do those. You know what?
You hot air balloon multiple times?
Oh, multiple times.
Oh,
I've
really?
done it multiple times.
That's number one on my list of things that I was referring to earlier, that I was like,
that you won't do?
I won't.
See, I can't live my life like that. I can't. Even if I, because the thing is that the fact is you could literally be hit by a car when you drive.
And and that's why I get so mad at myself.
I'm like looking at these lights up above us right here. Like, are these secure?
No, but think about it. I mean, heck, I was working at it. I was hit by a car as a pedestrian. You know, I've had these things where I'm like,
I forgot about that.
Right? I was hit as a pedestrian
Jeez.
working out. So that's why I say I skydived twice. I've done hot air ballooning, I think 3 or 4 times now. I do shark diving.
Damn.
I do all. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
I gotta get better with that stuff. My friend is a pilot, and I refuse to go on his plane with him. Like, he's got it's not his plane. He rents one of those planes. Yeah, the little small ones.
I just took my husband for his 40th birthday actually last year. He always wanted to pilot, so I found a place, and that they will teach him a little bit, and then they go up with you. He did the takeoff. And they're right there. They're just, and they allowed me to be in the back seat, so I was with them, and flying all around Santa Monica, and it was really cool. And he was like, "I'm flying."
I'd maybe trust it more like that. My friend
wanted to go by himself with you.
Yes, but also because he finally got his license and stuff. But it was like a few weeks after he got his license, and it was like his third by himself one. And I don't trust that he wouldn't try to mess with me in the plane. I know he'd be doing things.
Okay.
Maybe hot air balloon.
That one I can get. Okay,
maybe,
that one.
Maybe.
And yes, accidents do happen, people, but it doesn't mean that just because, and there's been a hot air balloon accident, whatever, but how many have they done that have gone right?
Mm-hmm. Okay? They do it every season on The Bachelor, and it's fine.
You got to remember, there's accidents every day, car accidents, and people still get in cars. Mm-hmm. So you got your perspective. It's all your perspective. All right. So real quick, I do want to go over some of the things that we learn that really help with cancer patients. Now, again, everything's different for everybody. I just wanted to share a couple things that we did with Dad. That first of all, sense of humor I think is very important. My dad has a good sense of humor. We were in the hospital, and I gave Dad this. You'll see, he looks funny, right? A little goggles.
Well, it was on the TV when we came in, and I loved it. I was like, yeah, this is great.
But he's got such a sense of humor. But what's so great about these goggles is in the hospital, it is so bright, and the nurses are always coming in. They're flipping on the lights, right? And so the patients never really get to rest. Yeah. So I was like, wait. I wear these things on the plane every single week, right? We're traveling. So I was like, Dad, check this out. My dad would sleep through the night like nothing. The nurses would come in, they'd do their thing, he just la la. You can even put earplugs in. Like it was so helpful. Yeah. So that's one trick. So if you've got anybody that's staying in the hospital, you need these goggles work good because, well, for women, eyelashes. Yeah, eyelashes.
That's why I don't wear it ever on a plane.
Oh, there you go. Right there. That's the trick. Perfect. Oh, they're awesome. Echo something. Echo. Just put in Echo goggles. Eye goggles. Yeah, and I'm sure you can find it that way.
Lillian, you know what sticks out to me in this photo is your dad's smile.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's such a sense of humor.
It's like infectious. You can't look at it and not smile yourself.
That's why I didn't even realize it was your dad at first, because it was the hospital thing, and I was like confused at first. No, he's like in a great mood.
In treatment, and he's still a great sense of humor. Amazing. And that's why I'm going to, in his honor, I am going to keep smiling. I am going to keep laughing and singing and dancing, and I've got a video that you guys are going to see at the end of this that we're going to leave the show with of him dancing, which was beautiful.
And hot air ballooning.
And all of that. Anyway, real quick, so the food. So sometimes it got appetite goes really down, right?
Yeah.
So there are
this
some
is
medications.
one of the things you guys were struggling with on a day to day.
Right, appetite. So we found that he will drink the drinks, the Ensures and the Boosts and all of that. But if you look at the ingredients, I mean, I'm sorry, but it is what it is. Lots of corn syrup, lots of sugar, lots of really bad things.
Yeah.
And for cancer patients, that's sugar is one of the things you don't want to be giving them, right? But so we found something, and it was his physical therapist who came to the house, and she was like, "Hey, so this is somebody. His daughter had cancer." Again, she was having a hard time eating. He looked for products and found all this corn syrup and all the sugar in all those products. And so he decided, I'm going to develop this. Her name was Kate. And so he named the product Kate Farms.
Aw.
And I had to tell you, my dad loved these. They use agave as the sweetener. And I know there's a controversy as to whether it's good or honey or this, but I'm sorry, but something's always going to have something, right? But it's better than corn syrup and is way better than sugar, like regular sugar. So, but yeah, it was
a protein shake.
It is a protein. It's a meal replacement shake. So Kate Farms, you can find it on Amazon. They have the vanilla, chocolate, and also coffee flavor. Wow. So he would suck these down like crazy. So we kept it. I mean, literally, all the way to the very end, he lost a lot of weight. But throughout, the doctors were amazed. He would come in and they were just like, "What is going on right now?" You know, he was about 4 months. 4 months, you know. Now they said 2 weeks to 3 months, right? 4 months in, he went in. He had nephrostomy tubes and all, which really extended his life. He didn't have to go to dialysis and all. But the doctor looked at him and he was like, "What the heck are you doing?" So again, I don't know what's working, but something worked. I don't know if one individual thing, but I'm just sharing.
Well, I know I watch a show called I watch a lot of Iceland. It's like my favorite network right now, and they have a show on there called Weed Etiquette. And basically, it talks about like a lot of the legalization aspects of marijuana and stuff. And one episode was about people that use not so much smoking, but like the waxes and the liquid form of stuff to help people's appetite.
Yes.
And it was. And not just for cancer, but I saw it for other certain things too, where like it can cause just like a huge world of a difference. Like I saw people that were like, I couldn't eat, I couldn't do anything, like I was just in a corner like in pain all the time, and I started using like those liquid things, and it changed everything. I'm able to eat again, I can live my life, and so I mean, if that's
I'm
something
a big advocate of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, but you know, weed is God's plant. You know what I mean? Like it was here.
Yeah.
I feel like everything has the right purpose. It's the people that end up abusing it that ends up giving it a bad name.
Honestly, that Weed Etiquette show, if that is something that interests you, it's really good, and it's not about, you know, there are some that are just showing the other side of it, but a lot of it is about the medical aspect of things too, and it's really interesting to see. Like there was one about seizures where there's people, and I forget exactly, but young children who are having seizures that had to move to other states so that they could be allowed, because their parents were considered like felons, and like they were going to get taken away because they were trying to help their kid, and they took them to a state where it was legal, and their kid doesn't have seizures anymore. They're able to eat, and like it's. Lots of stuff where it's amazing. If that's something that you're looking into, I highly recommend Weed Etiquette, that show.
Well, it's a necessity thing, like this guy who created these drinks because his daughter didn't have anything else, you know, and now maybe some laws are going to change because people see that there's a need for that.
Absolutely.
And I think it goes back to we want everything to have a meaning, or to, you know, I'm not sure if you meant that his daughter passed away.
I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't even know if it says it on the. I wanted to reach out to the company and thank them.
Yeah, we'll look into their story
we'll find
a little
out.
bit.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing that, again, don't know if it helped, but something worked because he lasted longer than he was supposed to. But somebody at the hospital, when he was in Marina Del Rey Hospital, an emergency, we took him there, and it was a nurse who said, no, actually, it was my mom. My mom, on her birthday, poor thing, she ended up having to be in the hospital in August, but we were like, hey, maybe that was a blessing because, and she's fine. It's just something that with her stomach, but that she's fine now. But the lady said guanabana leaves, that they're from Mexico, and you make a tea out of it. So I brought this in, guanabana leaves. Here it's called soursop. I believe. There's different names for it. But these are, hey, you know what? Nature is very healing. Very healing. You make a tea out of this, and it's supposed to really help and attack the cancer. And also, it wasn't until the very end that he felt like really bad. So some things kept him going. So again, I'm just sharing everything.
And even with cancer,
know.
like a lot of it, you just have to keep, not a lot of it, but a part that helps is just staying healthy. Just
Yes.
it's like my grandma passed away from cancer when I was much younger. And I know that a lot of it is just staying healthy and just because your body is losing all of that, that's the good parts of it inside of it. You have to do as much as you can to keep it up.
Well, and talking about the chemo too, how some like our modern medicine stuff and pills and that kind of thing can make someone even sicker.
Yeah.
You know, not to get too crazy religious, but it's like someone has already given us what we need.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and it's natural things like that
Yeah.
that can be a big
They
help.
can. I mean, I don't think you take people off chemo necessarily and give them this, but if they can't handle it.
You're not recommending that.
No, I'm not recommending that. But if they can't handle it, or do it in conjunction, you never know. I like their doctor. We got it all doctor approved. I mean, we went and we were like, look, is this going to mess with his medications or anything like that? And literally, his nephrologist, she said, no, we've heard of that. It will not hurt. Go for it. So we did. And his testing for his kidneys, because he was getting kidney failure, his testing, literally the last time he went in, which was probably a month before he passed away, was doing better. I mean, his tests, were doing better.
Wow.
So he kept getting, his kidneys kept improving. And she was like in awe of how is this happening? Somebody who was going to go into dialysis to actually having their kidneys functioning better.
That's crazy.
So
that's impressive.
Again, you never know.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I was going to share, pain is something major that happens with cancer patients. He was going through pain medication after pain medication, and what would happen is he'd either sleep all day or he was having severe constipation. Like so bad that it was was painful, right? So he just couldn't find that balance and all that. And we were at City of Hope, by the way, thank you, because they were amazing with everything that was going on. So he went to a pain management doctor there. And they tried everything. And then she was like, okay, I think he really is a candidate for this. It is called, the company is Medtronic. It's a personal therapy manager. Guys, this is a blessing that is ridiculous. I've never heard of it. It's apparently been around for 40 years. But what it is, they literally put this device inside of his body. It's in the, kind of like to the right of your stomach area, on the right. And it looks like you have something that's sticking out like this alien. I mean, it's a box. It's a box that they put underneath the skin. So, you can see it. But at this point...
You can see it through the skin?
You can't see it through the skin. You see that there's something
There's something sticking out?
No, it's a box.
Okay.
It's round. It's so you could see this protruding
that makes sense.
round thing underneath the skin, okay? At this point, he's like, I don't care. This is not about vanity. Put it in, right? This is tied in with the spinal cord, and it's kind of like an epidural. Okay,
wow.
So you know an epidural will take away the pain, right? So it is continuously giving you medication.
Wow.
Yeah, and so they adjust the levels because sometimes if they give you too much on a constant basis, it makes you sleepy. So you're doing nothing but sleeping all day. And that happened to him at one time, and so he went back to the hospital, and just electronically they'll reduce the dosage. And then put it, they're like, okay, so let's try this, and let's give you more control with your own device so that you can control how much more, right? So the exterior device looked like this, and literally just plugs in here. This little part of it, this little flat part, you would just put it right next to the box. And then you just turn it on, and you would give yourself right there as the B for a boost.
Wow.
You gave yourself a boost.
That's so cool.
That sent medication immediately to the spine through the like an epidural, and all of a sudden he'd calm down.
That's like some total future stuff right there.
It is
like,
future
that's
stuff, but
crazy.
it's been around for 40 years.
Oh, really? I guess it's not. I guess, it's 40 years. That's crazy.
I mean, I was...
the peace of mind that brings probably you and your and the rest of your family.
You guys have no idea.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine
that we saw. Dad didn't know all those Vicodins and all that. It's like, okay, goodbye to all of you.
Wow,
we
really?
didn't have to, all of it.
All pills,
of it,
nothing? Wow.
There was absolutely not one pain pill that he had to take.
Wow.
Not one.
Well, that probably helped a lot with his health. How long did he have that?
So he got this. My gosh, I'm thinking he got this in June.
I bet you that helped a lot too, because those pills, I mean, they'll take a toll on you, on your body when you're trying to stay healthy.
Yes,
that's really cool.
So I think I had to share this. Like I said, the company is called Medtronic.
And that's something to get approved for and stuff?
Personal therapy manager. It's got to be done by, I know City of Hope, like I said, Dr. Chang. She definitely does it there. And it's just, it's unreal what it did for my father.
That's awesome.
So they gave him basically 8 boosts a day. So he could just, whenever he felt pain, boom, boost, and it just an hour apart. And that was it.
Did that give him some sort of sense of control, too, or kind of put him back in feeling like he was in charge of what was happening with his body?
That and the fact that he didn't have all those withdrawals and all those, complications from the painkillers.
Yeah.
So, and then not feeling the pain, because he still would have the painkillers and then still feel pain. So, yeah, that was, this was just a blessing right here. So, those are some of my tips. And then afterwards, I feel like we also went into what we were talking about, the death, the scare, and then the after. I kept thinking I was scared about what I was going to feel like when Dad passed, and I was scared about my life after. And I feel like I built that so big that when it actually happened, I've realized that the journey of him being sick and watching Dad struggle and all of that was much harder than the, of course I cried like crazy, right? But there was a sense of relief that Dad doesn't have to go through that, and I have felt him every day since. It is really true. Well, I don't know for you if you felt your brother, but if you're open to it,
no, I do.
You can always feel that, and then take the sadness off of it. There is a reason my dad died on Christmas Day. My dad, survived 87 years, all of that, and so I'm very grateful. But there's also a reason that your brother went the way he did, and he went when he did.
And I absolutely feel that way. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, as sad as I am about what happened to my brother, I feel the exact same way. I believe that everything happens for a reason too, and I honestly believe. And like I was saying earlier, there are people that die in such worse ways, and I know my brother got to live the life that he wanted to live. So I do feel like he's with me every day. Like I was saying with the site, like why I started it. I 100% feel that way. And I do feel like he's with me every day. And I honestly believe that that's the only true way to grieve. When, and not in a negative way if you do it somewhere else, but like because it was a surprise, I've seen how it affected my parents, and the blame game of like, why me, or why us, or why him, or why this situation, and it's like, I try not to go down that path. Instead, I try to go down the path of like, I need to take his life and move with it within me now, and do what he would have wanted.
Yeah.
Because all along our plan was to work together and have a production company when we were older, and he was going to handle the technical aspects of things, and I would handle the creative aspects of things. And instead, it's like, no, I still need to do everything that we were planning to do, and still continue to honor his life and never forget the times that we did share together, because that's what's really important to me.
And when sometimes when you go the why me on anything, my mom said it best: why not me?
Yeah.
Why not me?
Yep.
It's got to happen to somebody.
Yep.
But if you can take and lean on the gifts, like I said, my sister and I are like this. My mom and I are like this. I spent all this time with my dad. The gifts that now I'm getting ready, I'm sharing with other people, other cancer patients, the gifts of. And this was a major thing that I wanted to make sure that I brought up today. I got some tweets from people saying, my family member passed away at the holidays too, and now I hate the holidays. Okay, let's spin that and now realize that, no, there's a gift in somebody also going in the holidays. It is a cheery season. So next year, my sister and I are going to do something very special for Christmas, and, keep the memory of, and just focus on the fact that I'll see him again. It's not even, but while I'm here on Earth, in my time, I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to do things that are very loving and giving to other people and everything. And by the way, that Wednesday, the LA Rams called me to sing on New Year's Day, I was like, wow, Dad's at work already.
No, but you do have to do that. No, my sister's the same way about everything. My brother passed away, one of my sisters, my brother passed away a few days before her birthday. And so she could take it the exact same way of like, I'm just going to sit and I'm going to be sad this whole entire week because my brother passing away and my birthday, and it's like this terrible situation. But she feels she's the exact same way where she's like, no, she doesn't act sad on those days. She just lives through it like, no, I need to honor his legacy by being happy. Like if I sit here and I'm sad, and the same reason, like the reason I don't go to visit his gravesite and stuff, it's like he's not there, like he's with us, like he's here, you know, like I don't need to stare at like this thing that says he died for an hour to be like honoring his legacy. I'm gonna go live and do the life that he would, and I know that's what you want to do with your dad too. I mean, that's all you can do.
Well, you know, with my dad, he wanted to be cremated, so we're gonna actually.
That's better.
I'm not into
I wish my brother had done that, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't know. That's just a personal thing about being down on the ground. Like, I don't want to be down on the ground alone. I know I'm not really going to be there, but still.
No, I'm the same way.
Put me in the living room and let me just live with you guys.
Prop me up beside the jukebox, right? Well, you know, what you guys are both describing is like this really immense personal strength. And even you, Lillian, saying that watching him go through it has proven to be more difficult than what you're going through now. Do you think that going through his being sick gave you this strength, or did you have it before? Is it coming from him now? Where does this come from? It's incredible.
I think, like I said, I feel like it's because I do feel him. That I don't feel that sadness. I feel. I mean, of course, there's that. I'm not saying I'm freaking stone cold. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying that I don't know. Something just happened. Even at the game when I was singing, I could feel him. If you watch the video of the game when I was performing. In the middle, even my friend said, "Wait, what happened to you? Like something clicked with you at in the middle of the song. The sun was shining, and I just, it's like my whole body just opened up, and I felt him. So I hold on to that, and watching somebody deteriorate and go through so much pain and struggle, and let him going. I'm a prisoner of my body, and him going, God, look what I've turned into. You know, he was so unhappy. I look at pictures. This is the other thing. I looked at pictures of when he was healthy and happy, and then I looked at pictures when he was, you know, going through all this, and I go, oh, there's a sadness in the eyes. And he doesn't have that anymore. And so that's what I focus on, is the fact that, you know, he is dancing and grooving and living, and, you know, and he's... something, I mean, there's just something really cool about that and leaning on that, and my mom's been just amazing.
You know, he's up there like, that's my girl. He's like showing people like, that's my girl down there. You know, like.
And he's already shown, like, he's here. He's already, to my sister, shown that he's here in ways that she was not even that open to, you know, receiving whatever. And she's kind of like, yeah, right, okay, I don't believe in that. And then all of a sudden she's like, Lil, oh my God, this happened, you know? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's Dad. And I said, he's showing himself in a big way to you, especially because you're not, you know, believing. So
no, that stuff does. As much as like it's hard to say, you know, like to believe that those kind of things happen. Like the anniversary of my brother passing away this year, I remember I was like, I had a goal for the website. Like I really wanted to get to this certain number of like how many page views that I was getting, and just coincidentally the day I would be most sad, on the day my brother passed away, I hit the number and like surpassed it that day, and I was like, that's crazy.
See what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, it was crazy.
That's your brother.
And I was all excited when I woke up, like, yeah, and then I was like, wait, what? Whoa, like that's crazy,
no,
you
that's
know?
Not coincidence.
No, I know it's crazy. Those things are like, that stuff gives me chills. It's like it's weird to think of those kind of things, but it's all you can do, you know. Right. I mean, it's like how do you deny there's? I mean, obviously I know I was working really hard to get there, and I was doing lots of stories, but still, it's like the coincidence of it being that day was weird. And there was a show I was working on too, and it was like I got good news. I think the next day on that, and it was like, okay, someone's telling me not to be sad right now. You know?
Like, do I have to give him a credit on this show now? Like, he's doing all the work for me.
I like it. I like that we're smiling. I like that we're laughing. I like that we can have a show that, you know, it's almost like this is it. Now we move forward from the year, and we we really live life, right? Is there something really quick I want to hear from you guys? What have you learned in 2016 that you want to change for 2017? And not really a New Year's resolution, because I sometimes don't even believe in that, in calling it more like, hey, I want to make this shift as a permanent shift, not a New Year's where all of a sudden February you're doing the same exact thing. You know what I mean? Like, was there something that really stood out?
Absolutely. Yeah. I learned a big lesson in 2016, and it was one that I needed, I think, more than any. And that was that I tend to be someone who's not worried about what everyone else is doing, but I've been at this for a long time, and I have a birthday a couple weeks ago, and I just always think like, oh my gosh, so-and-so is already doing this, or so-and-so got this, and I'm not there yet. Or, I look at someone like you or Maria, and I'm like, well, when they were this age, they were doing this. And that was something that I think really was hindering me. And this last year, I dealt with a big instance of that towards the beginning of the year, and really got myself down about it, and did a whole lot of nothing for a while, and kind of sulked and thought, do I need to quit altogether? And then everything kind of started coming together, and I could start to see that other thing happening to someone else opened doors that I could now see were open for me.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, wow, now that I can look back at the whole year and go, oh my gosh, first of all, I'm mad at myself for wasting the first 6 months. But now I can really look and see like, oh, not being worried about what everyone else was doing or was getting made me so much better off, and allowed me to do more and really grasp my own opportunities.
Run your own race. Seriously, that's what it comes down to. I love that. I thank you so much for sharing that, because that's so cool.
And that's funny, because that's similar to like what I was going to say as well, is that, there was 2 things that I've been kind of wanting to work on this year, and one of them was very similar to like not dealing with people that are negative towards me. Like I not everyone's gonna love me. Like not everyone's gonna like me even. So
Pro Wrestling Sheet is not a dirt sheet. By the way, while we're on, I would just
and
like
as much as I try to push that, as much as I try to say that, there are people who might not agree. And so when I was at TMZ, I was so used to getting people saying negative things once in a while towards me, and I don't mind engaging with people, and so I would respond to most of them, and I would speak my word back, because a lot of times people, they like being like mean to people on Twitter and expecting no one to say back.
They hide
behind their keyboard, and so a lot of times, like, since I'm no like celebrity thing, I'm like, screw that guy, I'm gonna write him back, and I'd say something back, and I'd feel like, oh yeah, I got that guy back. But the more my site has grown, and the more I'm dealing with people engage people all the time, I've learned that like I don't need to engage with every single person that wants to say something negative to me. I don't. And I'm not great at it yet. I'm trying. Like,
don't engage. I'm literally gonna challenge you right now. Don't engage not to even one person this year.
I'm trying my best.
No, the word try. Well, you either do or you don't.
Well, I don't want to say I'm 100%.
We got Lillian on it now.
Only because I know that once in a while I'm going to fall into it once.
No, you're not.
But I'm trying.
Wait, no, seriously. Ryan, stop right now. Your language, I'm going to change your language right now. If you say, I know I'm already going to fall, well, right there.
Well, no, but it's more because I know that, like, you worked in the wrestling business for a long time. Like, you know that you have to talk back to somebody. Like, you don't. No, I can't let everybody run all over me.
But Ryan,
once in a while.
I never, ever have engaged in any kind of war with anybody that has said anything to me.
I know.
And trust me, they have.
And it's funny too that Lillian is so strong about this, because the other thing that coincides with that was trying to, after speaking with you last time we recorded, of like trying to, because I am the face of my website, of trying to maybe look a little more professional, like be a little more professional.
You're
like
a brand.
Yeah, I'm not in my 20s anymore. I'm the face of my own website.
Yeah.
Like I need to like try a little harder once in a while. I'm so used to when I was at TMZ, it was like, no, t-shirts and messy hair, we love that. That I'm and in wrestling in general, like it's not like everyone's wearing, well, except for WWE, like everyone's wearing suits and stuff. So it's something that I'm trying on now, that of being more of a professional of my site, and so they kind of coincide together.
I love that, and I'm going to take that word "try" out.
Okay.
You either doing it or you're not.
Okay.
You're making a choice. It's either happening or you're not. So is it happening?
Yeah.
Great.
I should go delete some of my tweets from this morning. No, I'm just kidding.
That was good.
before Lillian goes and like checks.
I am going to be checking on you now.
I know you are now.
You know what anytime somebody says into something, oh my God, do you know that people are actually going to try to egg you on too?
I know they are, trust me.
Oh, now that they hear this, they're going to try to egg you on. I'm telling you, the challenge is out there. Don't do it. Just don't do it. It's just ridiculous. It's wasted energy.
I got a little excited because on Friday.
It's jealousy. Don't you understand? It's jealousy speaking.
Well, I got excited because I got crapped on kind of hard the past couple of weeks over a story I had done, and everyone was like saying, well, that story's not going to be true. That story's not going to be true, and it ended up being accurate last week. So,
which story is that, by the way?
It was about Chris Hero signing with WWE and the fact that he was going to go back. There was a report out saying that he was going to go back to WWE, and then we followed up on that like if he passes medical tests, that he'd be going to NXT and he would be using his old name Cassius Ohno again. Yeah. And no other sites reported that, and a lot of people in the wrestling news world were all tweeting saying like, no, he's wrong, doesn't know what he's talking about. And he showed up last week. Sorry, my days are off. He showed up last week in NXT, and they were tweeting Cassius Ohno is back, Cassius Ohno, and I was like, okay, I feel so much better now, And I tweeted like, hey, you should apologize, people. But now I'm gonna stop. After this conversation, I'm not gonna try. I'm gonna do.
Yeah, if that happens again, Ryan, just think of that as a testament to how often you are right. The fact that people actually that you're not printing things that are outlandish and rumors all the time, that the one time people think it's something they shouldn't believe, it's like a huge deal.
Well, and I think that's why I used to engage so much.
I like it.
Was because I felt the need to let people know that, I'm not someone who does that, and I hope that in the year that I've been out now that people understand that now, and so I'm hoping doing the show let people know that in the same regard. So I don't need to do that anymore.
There you go. Amen to that.
Done.
All right.
Please don't start saying a bunch of negative things to me because I said that.
Don't bait him.
Oh, baiting. Oh my gosh. Seriously, you don't need engage.
I know.
You don't need, because all they're doing is they're pushing a button.
I know.
All you're saying is, you know what you're saying?
You pushed it.
No, but you know what you're saying? I'm insecure about myself, therefore I have to fight for myself because I'm kind of believing what you're saying because I have to defend myself. It is a circle that you are running, and all you have to do, literally when that happens, go, I don't need it. Jealous, you're jealous, that's it. Yeah. I know who I am. I'm sure of who I am. Mm-hmm. I am good enough. I am whatever. I'm doing my thing. I know I'm good at it. Yeah. You are good at what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's it. You don't need anybody to tell you. You don't even need me to say that. That's
well,
the thing. I know, and that's cool. I want you to just to know that. It's the same thing with me. I love it when people compliment the show and everything. I think it's great. But more, I'm like, you know what? I'm just doing the show. I'm doing what makes me happy. And if I get to change other people's lives in a better way for it, that's what makes me feel good. I don't need a, yay, no, boo, this. Not necessarily do I need that. I just feel good about what I'm doing.
And you're right. And I that's what you just said, exactly what I'm going to do this year.
Awesome.
I never engage in the negative stuff, but I really, really appreciate the positive stuff. Like when someone does take a second to out of their day to tell me that they like something that I've done, I usually do try to respond or try to like and make sure they know that I heard you and I do appreciate that.
Oh, that's cool.
But maybe again,
No, I definitely, I couldn't agree more. And honestly,
it's because I want to hear it.
Women have it
I'm
much
not
worse.
quite where you are yet with the security, Lillian. Let's be real.
But women have it much worse on social media. Like my girlfriend shows me the things that people say to her on social media all the time, and my mind is blown. Like I can't believe the things that, like my replies look so much different than her replies. Mine are either like, yeah, hey, cool, Ryan, or like, you suck. Hers are like saying things that I'm just like, whoa, I would never say that to someone.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
It is really bad, and a lot of times, unfortunately, it is other women who are saying it to women.
True.
Which really makes me mad.
But I see a lot of creepy guys that say some creepy things.
No, I know. And those are it's out there, but it's the world we're living in now. So it is what it is. I'm just saying. And mine really quick, something that I learned is don't sweat the small stuff. Oh, it does not matter. It does not matter. Seriously, in the big picture of things, like everything we've been through. So we are going to do wrestling news next week. How's that? I think that we've done a great show. I love that we've opened this up. I hope that you guys enjoyed it as well, because I hope that you got something out of it that can help you. So next week,
Woo, woo.
I'm going to make the announcement.
next
All right,
week,
Are you
Lillian.
doing it?
Yeah, I kind of reached out to this person to ask, will you please start my 2017 in the right way?
People are going to go insane.
I worked with him for so many years, and let me tell you, I was glowing anytime I would see him backstage. I'm like, ah! And I'll say the name here in a minute. But like literally, we just had a really special relationship and just really got along. God, I just remember laughing a lot. So next week's guest will be none other than Kurt Angle.
That's gonna be so cool.
Unbelievable.
That's awesome.
You guys have no idea, like the relationship that he and I had in at WWE, the stories, we had the interviews. Oh my God, I remember interviewing him. I have stories about that too, so I have to talk to you about that. Yeah, but Kurt has just had an amazing career. He's had ups and downs. There's a lot to learn from Kurt and everything. And I also want to know his journey to the ring.
He's had a fascinating life, yeah.
Fascinating.
I'm like
Yeah.
salivating over the headlines we can make, Lily. And I know
Right?
it's not about that. You try to tell me like it's not about that. So I know we're going to tell a story too, but everyone's always talking about, is he ever going to go back to WWE? And what's he doing now? What is his intention with his future? And I feel like it's one of those things that everyone else is always chattering about.
Yeah.
What's he going to do? It would be nice to hear from him directly what his plans are for the future.
Right?
Yeah.
And then what would you love to hear as him like growing up, like the journey?
Well, I did high school wrestling, so I would love to hear about that kind of stuff, about his journey to the Olympics and all that kind of stuff, you know, and which obviously led to his journey to the ring as well.
The mindset you have to be an Olympic champion.
Well, I mean,
an Olympic athlete.
he won with a broken back or whatever.
I know,
so I mean,
I know
he said it all the time, but you know,
but some people do. Some
but the
people don't.
mentality of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of an inspiring story. I can't wait to hear. It's like real, raw, and inspiring.
Speaking of like talking about fighters, he's a fighter.
He's a fighter.
Yeah.
And he's been open about what he's gone through.
Yes, so that's good. So next week, don't forget, that's Kurt Angle. Until then, Christy Olsen, thank you very much. Ryan Satin, I appreciate you guys so much. By the way, Ryan, how about you joining the team?
I think that works for me. Yeah.
Sounds good.
I think that I can make that happen.
You'll take it?
I think I'll take it. Yeah.
I love it. No, I
know you guys love Kevin, but you know.
Kevin Undergaro, but he's busy with
I'm
his own
sure
things.
he's very busy. Yeah.
So that was kind of like a leading things up, but we were always looking for somebody, and
No, I'm
you're
stoked to join the
perfect for
team.
this. So
I love sitting here chatting with you guys,
this
so
is
it's great. I love it.
Great. So, and we've got so much that we're going to be doing this year. And of course, my Spanish podcast, Luchando, that's on Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time. And we're on Mondays, as you know, 6 p.m., 3 p.m., same thing. And don't forget, you can catch us on iTunes or YouTube at AfterBuzz TV. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you do your comments, your 5 stars, your all that good stuff. And until then, I'm going to leave you with a video of my dad, and this is actually New Year's Eve of 2012 going into 2013. We were at the house in South Carolina, and this was him. Like, he's just a ball of fire, and so with his spirit, I live on. You guys can see why I like singing and dancing so much too. So, Papá, te quiero mucho. Oh my God, I love you, Dad. I'll never forget you. Anyway, all right, guys, I love you. Bye.
Wash the clothes.
Oh yeah. Wash the clothes. Woo!
83
My poppy getting down.
Go Poppy.
It's your birthday. Go Poppy. It's the new year. Oh yeah.
Never the same move twice. Always thinking.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy
Woo!
birthday!
Hooray! 2013 coming in. Get a little tired? No, not
Oh
yet.
no,
Oh, no.
there's a lot more where that came from. He's got the Energizer Bunny halfway up his ass. Oh, hey, oh, hey, oh.
Yeah.
I love it.
All night long. Hey, Lionel, listen to this. Woo! I bet nobody has danced to your song like this. Oh my God. god, this is
Like
funny.
the song says, all
night long. All night long.
And then you
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Phil Svitek, Kevin Undergaro, Lilian Garcia, Mark Donica, associate producer James Frank, AfterBuzz Wrestling News correspondent Christy Olsen, and the entire Making Their Way to the Ring staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow Lillian on Twitter and Instagram at Lilian Garcia. This has been a presentation of the AfterBuzz TV Network. Buzz you later.